Hello everybody, welcome back to our little tarot corner. I'm Allie with Toe Tarot. Today I thought we would be super casual. We were literally on the floor in my little tarot space, and I thought, as the title claims, that we would kind of go over my year of 2024, where I've been, where I'm at, and where I'm going in 2025. So, to begin, 2024 was a year. There were some really fun moments and some moments that definitely changed a lot of things and affected my day-to-day practices for sure, no question. I'd say the first half of the year pretty much passed without incident. It was neither, terrible or wonderful. It was just life. Life was lifing. Then in kind of late July, we went on vacation with my family, and it was sort of a family reunion type vacation. And we spent a week in North Carolina at the beach with some aunts and uncles and cousins of mine, as well as my immediate family, my sister and her kids, all that fun stuff. And it was a really great week. We all just kind of hung out and got to spend time together. And I hadn't seen some of those family members in years, and so that was a very, very special trip. Then we came home, and I want to say it was less than a week after we'd been home, I got a call that my mother was gone. I'm really going to do my best not to cry. That phone call completely kind of threw everything on its head. It was for a good solid couple of months. It was sort of hard to tell up from down, and left from right, front from back, all the things. And I think just the way that everything occurred really made it hard for me to be in any sort of accepting space. It was very, very sudden, and while sparing you all the details, I just did not get a chance to say goodbye. And even if she and I hadn't been close for a little while, family is sometimes hard, and she is still half of me. I am half of her. And so it's a shell shock type of thing. So that was July. Then my birthday was at the end of August, which was a very weird day. I don't like attention on myself anyway on my birthday. I'm very uncomfortable receiving gifts of any kind, so my birthday is very strange for me. I don't enjoy it. It's, that's neither here nor there. But in September, I had a surgery set that I had scheduled in May, I believe, or June. Now, to take you back for some history, when I was younger, it was discovered that I had a middle ear tumor in my left ear called cholesteatoma. And what that tumor does is it essentially erodes the middle ear, and it completely eats those bones away, and it causes pretty significant hearing issues and can lead you to become deaf if it's not treated. It's also very aggressive. It can survive if even a cell or two is left behind or are left behind after a surgery, which is kind of impossible to tell. So cholesteatoma patients, typically it's kind of a serial thing where you need more than one operation. I have been dealing with it, like I said, since I was 13. So for the past 2 decades of my life. And I believe I've had 4 surgeries to remove it. I even had one surgery at one point that we placed a prosthetic little bone in my middle ear, and it ended up coming out. Gross, yes, but it happened. My ear rejected it. So it was discovered that I was now, after multiple surgeries to clean it all. I had been free of it for a while, and so it was determined that I could wear a normal hearing aid, but I was a better candidate for a cochlear implant. So I now have one. That is the surgery that I got at the end of September. And anytime you have surgery on your ear, it is kind of uncomfortable, to say the least. You come home in a pressure dressing that's wrapped around your forehead like a mummy. I woke up with a giant goose egg after we removed my dressings. It was hard for a couple days where pieces of the fabric, I think, had pinched my skin. And it's just very uncomfortable overall. It was hard to sleep that first night. And as soon as I woke up the next morning, I told Josh, I was like, rip this thing off my head right now. So that part of it is uncomfortable. And then, it's work in the around the ear. So not this particular surgery, because he wasn't going in my middle ear. It's an implant that goes underneath the skin on top of the skull. And then there's a magnetic piece that is actually the receiver. And the receiver picks up the sound and it sends the signal into the implanted piece, and the implanted piece vibrates. And that's what sends the sound to my bone. So it completely pretty much skips my ear canal as a whole, which I have trouble with because of my middle ear condition. So it bypasses all that to give me the sound. And for a couple weeks, I'd say it was pretty uncomfortable. So that was an adventure in and of itself too. And then once I was fitted in October for my actual device, because you have to let the swelling go down before you're given the magnetic receiver on the outside. Getting that was highly emotional because it was finally receiving the sound that I had been missing. And so to go from having this tumor to completely being fixed with hearing is wild. It's kind of, I'm done. And what's even crazier is my ENT retired at the end of this month after going through my entire journey with me for 2 decades. He's completely selfishly going to be with his family and retire. How dare he? But it was an emotional thing because having seen me through all that, you tend to bond in a weird way. He was kind of like a grandfather figure. So that happened. So the whole year, half of the end of the year was wild, from end of life planning to having surgery on your head to being recovered, which is fantastic, and then losing that physician. It just made for a very up and down year. And as a result of that, my practice was essentially nowhere to be seen. I have now turned a corner where I'm definitely more able to function day to day with my emotional things. And, life goes on. I have also entered what we've actually talked about here lately. I'm in my villain era, so to speak. I'm just reaching a point where my peace, my comfort, what I believe in, what I stand for, what I will tolerate, what I will not tolerate, kind of becomes most important. And I'm standing up for myself more in ways that I haven't been able to or have struggled to do in the past. So 2025 is a whole different year. Now, all of that rambling aside, that's where I've been and where I'm at. Where we're going in 2025 is I decided to take a couple pages out of different books. I will be participating in Dawn Michelle's fellowship, which, if you haven't heard of Dawn Michelle or Lisa Papez, which I'm sure you all have, I will leave links to their channel below. But I will be doing Dawn's fellowship, and she's also developing a Gamify Your Life practice for this year, which basically kind of helps engage with daily things like a game, because why not? And that sounds like a ton of fun and a very uplifting and kind of distracting in a good way. experience to have. So I'm doing that this year. And then I'm also doing Lisa Pepez's practice that she's talked about before, where she does her envelope reading system. I personally love a year ahead spread. It is gorgeous, it is big, it is massive, it is in your face, it is a beautiful snapshot of the year. However, that's too many cards to look at for me at a time, especially because I like to use tarot and oracle for my readings. A big giant spread laid out is too much. Or, as Lisa talked about in her video, it can tend to make you overthink, or say July has some tower card moments that are present. I find myself the type that will dread July the entire time. I will now forever, but that aside, if you see difficult cards in a certain month, you're going to be thinking about that and thinking about it and thinking about it until it comes. And that's just not the way that I want to live. I don't want to be thinking about things before they happen. I don't want to be dreading something when I don't even know what the situation is. So, Lisa divides her readings into the 12 months, into 12 envelopes. And she also does moon readings for each full moon, I believe. I don't think she does the new moons as well. I think she only does full moons. That's what I'm doing anyway, is I'm doing 12 monthly readings and then a reading for each full moon. Now, last year I bought a beautiful Hobonichi Weeks planner, and that was where I was going to do everything. Keep track of my fellowship practice with Dawn, keep track of my daily things, whether I'm picking up an extra shift at the hospital, or whether I'm working for someone at the hospital, or whether I'm on call, or beautiful things that happened, or if we have dinner with friends. We have a group that plays Catan every month. We call ourselves the Catan Clan. Or streamings. I am now part of the Tabs and Tarot streaming group with Dawn, Lisa, and Krista over at Krista Chronicles. And the four of us get together roughly every 2 weeks. We try, schedules barring. Is that the right word? Schedules allowing. We try to get together every 2 Sundays, so every other Sunday, and we stream Baldur's Gate 3. It is a great time, and we stream on Dawn's Twitch, so I'll leave a link to that too. And that's all in addition to Lisa and Dawn's BG3 streams that they do, just the two of them together on her channel on Tuesdays, and the Sundays when we're not doing tabs, the two of them stream 2 different games on Tuesdays and Sundays. So all of that is on Dawn Michelle's Twitch. Anyway, lots of daily things that I could keep track of, right? I bought it, filled out 1 week, got it all colored, stuck a couple stickers in there, made it very aesthetic, and then never touched it. So, instead of buying a new Hobonichi Weeks for just the Fellowship and Gamify, and a Hobonichi Cousins, which is the bigger version, for daily journaling, little thoughts about my day, or something, some way to kind of chronicle life, the 2 of those were going to cost me about $100, which is absolutely fine. However, I did not want to set myself up to not use them again. So, I went budget friendly, and I purchased 2 planners from Walmart, 2 monthly/weekly planners that will allow me to do the same thing, but there's no pressure because I haven't spent a third of what I was going to on these beautiful Hobonichi planners. But I will be using those planners to do those practices. And I also bought envelopes for all my readings. Now, is any of it aesthetic? Not really. In fact, I feel like they're all ugly. The best that I can do is sticker them and try to make them somewhat cool looking. But I'm trying to keep myself accountable. So this way, I'm not panicking over wasting some expensive planners. If life gets in the way, life gets in the way. And worse comes to worse, I've wasted the $30 as opposed to $100. But if I make it the entire year with keeping track of my things and at least backlogging if I need to, I've told myself that if I can commit and get all the way through the year and use my planners and use my system and do my readings, then next year I can treat myself to Hobonichi planners. So that's what we're doing. Now, I thought I would show you what I'm actually going to be using and show you the decks that I set aside for my readings. So let's flip it around and I'll show you my things. So I lied. I was already set up here and I decided that I'm not going to flip the camera around and set everything up. So you're just going to stare at my face this whole time. Now, here is my envelope system. It's this little basket that I have had around my house for a couple months and just never did anything with. You know, one of those random, it was actually part of a raffle at Josh's alma mater that we helped run one evening, and I bid on this little basket and I got it. So I've had this basket, but no use for it until now. What I have done, like I was saying, these are just cheap. I think they're 9x5 envelopes. They're not beautiful. They are not aesthetic. They're not pretty. They're not glorious. But you know what they are? Cheap. You know what else they are? Resealable and reusable, which means that even though I spent a total of $5 on my 24 envelopes, that I can keep them and I don't have to waste them after 1 year. So what I have done is I have done one for every month of the year. So there's 12 envelopes for those. And then I also did one for each full moon. And what I decided to do, these look a little different because the names of the moons, I do believe, stay the same every month. But I don't know if they're on the same days. And since I didn't want to commit to writing anything that I needed to remove, like the months are the months. It should say January and I don't need anything else. But because the moons are different, what I did is I just took little pieces of washi tape, and actually the little papers are pieces from my Hobonichi Weeks planner that I had and didn't use. And I just used some markers and I wrote the name of the moon and the date, and I secured it with washi tape so I can take it right off and I can redo them next year. Now again, I've kind of started messing with January and February. You know, I've got this little rising sun here and this little sticker that says set goals and crush them. Cheesy? Yes. And again, these look like a 4-year-old did them. But you know what? It works. No pressure. That's the motto for 2025, kids. And my February, of course, you had to have the love and the little kissy. I don't know. Will I do more? Maybe. Maybe not. Will I leave the other 10 blank just except for the month? Who knows? I'll cross that bridge when I get there. But you know what? I don't have any pressure. And that's how I like it. You guys want to see the decks that I used? Because I'm actually pretty excited about the decks that I used. So for my monthly readings, I chose to actually work with 4 decks. I am working with the Death Doula Oracle, which is completely delicious. It's got this beautiful photographic artwork. Sorry, you can see my ring light there. I'm trying to get out of the glare. There you go. And these are the backs, and it's just beautiful. It's a beautiful, simple white with a small spot of gold in the middle and then a border with gold gloss. So I decided to pull one to however many oracle cards came out for the month. That's my oracle. Then another oracle I decided to use was my Terra Incognita Oracle by, Death Doula Oracle is by Theodore Saint Studios by, oh no, I need to credit the art. Goodness, sorry, hold please. By Theodore Saint Studios. Okay, so that is who created the Death Doula Oracle. Anyway, my apologies. So there's that one. And then the Terra Incognita Oracle was created by Urania Press. And it is also a photography-based deck, but it is florals. So here are the backs. They're green with a little black and white flower. And it is just a little black and white poker-sized deck with photographic images with a single keyword. So these two actually really look beautiful next to each other. I suppose I could show you. That was my whole intention. Can you tell I'm scatterbrained and that it's Sunday evening? Okay. So, these two. I mean, don't they just look cool? Granted, this isn't an actual pair now, but they look good together. And then I also decided to pull Lenormand, and I decided to use my Bouquet Design Terra Lenormand. Unfortunately, I cannot show you the artwork on this because there are only 36 cards, and I did 3 cards per month, ergo, the maths, and there are no cards that I can show you. I could sneak and show you one of January's cards, but I'm not gonna. But these are the backs of them. If you are familiar at all with her work, then you will know that it is very dreamy and creamy and kind of fantastical, and it makes you want to bite it. The colors just look like a soft candy to me. So those are my Lenormand cards that I will use per month. And then my tarot is the Rain Shadow Tarot, and this is by Claire Mack. Now, I wanted to use this one, A, because it's floral, and B, because the backs of everything looks really beautiful together. And so that's step one. And all of these are decks that I kind of haven't paid too much attention to. Here's just a couple cards from that tarot, if you haven't seen it. It's very plant-based, natural. The colors are incredible, and it's kind of this, again, kind of a dreamy garden type of vibe. So I felt like it all kind of went together as a funky, floral, earthy type combination, right? We're going for florals. So those are all my decks that I'm using for my monthly readings in those envelopes. For my full moon readings, I have a whole different onslaught of decks. And let me get this put away real quick and I'll show you those. Okay, so the tarot that I decided to use for my full moon readings is, the Moonchild Tarot. This is the Shadow Edition. I tend to like this version just a little bit more because it is a little bit darker. I know that the original Moonchild Tarot is obviously very much full moon, and it's bright, and there's pinks and blues. But for whatever reason, I just jive with the Shadow Edition more. See these beautiful gold and purple backs? Just stunning. It's very moody and, as the name suggests, very tied to the moon, and very appropriate, I felt, for moon readings. So, I'm using that as my main tarot. Then I'm using the beautiful Obsidian Oracle, and this is by Megan, I'm going to butcher it, Bouchier. It's B-U-C-C-E-R-E. I'm so sorry if I didn't pronounce that correct. But this oracle is also very moody, and it just felt like it needed to go with my moon deck. So these are the backs. It's got that black spot gloss. You can see the eye and the Ouroboros in the center, kind of the splintering around the edges. It's got black shiny gilding on the edges, which is delicious. And for these, each little card is, oh gosh, go away light, is a black background with some sort of creature or item. There can be crystals, there can be the different moon cycles, there can be animals, there can be combinations therein. And so it's just, again, it's a lovely little nighttime deck that I thought really went with the moon vibe. So, oh, one more. Look at this card. So that is my first oracle that I'll use with the tarot. And then I'm also going to be using the Solitary Witch Oracle. This is a Lisa Made Me Do It deck because she hyped it up on her channel, and I was like, you know what? I need that. This is a deck that is created by Lucy Cavendish, and the artwork is by Lady Victoria. I mean, first of all, the backs are black with the pentacle. Like, are we seeing a thing here? It definitely just, it feels right. It feels good. But this beautiful artwork is so great, and it speaks to, again, the sometimes solitary nature of being. And in times when you feel as if you are alone, this oracle is really good at giving you gentle nudges of encouragement and support, while also reminding you just how incredible you are. So, I love this deck. And then the last deck that I chose to throw in was my Diaphanous Oracle. This is by Tammy Kaufman, and I don't think it's available anymore, unfortunately. But this was a deck that really, I think, lends itself to a great umbrella message for these readings. These are the backs. It is a square deck, and it's kind of glossy. These are done with beautiful paints, and she's got just a single keyword on them as well. So they lend a little bit of brightness to my kind of moody decks that I chose, but they also give a single focal point to come back to. Like this card, for example, is fantastic, Underworld. And even though my Obsidian Oracle, like on the card, you know, you have leaf insect. So you might have the identifying word, but I'm going to need to use the guidebook with it for the message. And I'm okay with that. But this one, you don't need it. It says the message right on the card. Now here we have Ephemeral. I have found this deck to be a realist, but to also be gentle in the way that it gives you that reality. So I think it'll really pair well to brighten up my readings a little bit, but again, also give me a sort of starting spot or finishing spot, however it feels natural. So those are my 4 moon decks, and I'll hold them all up together one more time. Where'd you go? Boop. I mean, what a pair, right? So these are all my cards. Now, for the cards per month, aside from the Lenormand, I sort of let the oracles tell me how many cards I needed. So in some months, there may be 2 tarot cards and 3 oracle cards, and then the 3 Lenormand cards, and then 1 of the other oracle cards. Vice versa. On my moon readings, there may be 4 tarot cards and only 1 of each oracle card. So it just kind of depends. I let the oracles more so and the tarot kind of just pop out and show me what needed to be read for the reading. I didn't worry too much about numbers, except, like I said, for the Lenormand, which I knew it needed to be 3 per month because that would soak up all 36 cards. So that one I needed to be consistent with. But why did I tell you all that? It doesn't matter. But all that to say, the readings aren't exactly 3 and 1 and 1 and 1. They're all kind of different. So, and now I guess I'll show you my planners. They're also very non-aesthetic and very not beautiful, but they each have within them, which is the most important part, a monthly page where I can write down things that happen during the day or things with my schedule or whatever the case may be. And then it follows up with a weekly page where there's more space to do more so journaling or to stick pictures of my cards that I drew. So that is kind of my plan for that. This is my life one, so to speak. I really do not dig notebooks that have these spirals, but I'm not planning on being super rough with them or putting them in a position where I could bend them or catch them on anything. So again, sacrifice aesthetics for cheapness and for the removal of pressure, and we'll see what happens next year. This other little one is just the same thing. It's got a monthly page, and then it immediately falls into weekly pages. This one is literally smaller, but it seems like I will need a little bit less detail room to do Dawn's practices, and so I'm not overthinking it or stressing. And that's my setup. I got my envelopes, I got my planners, and we're ready to rock with 2025. If you have stuck around and watched this with me, thank you. I'm very glad you're here. I'm very glad that all of you are here. I appreciate that you take the time to come hang out with me and let me ramble. I know that I'm not the most consistent content creator, but it still means a lot that you're here. So thank you very much for helping me begin and end 2024. And I'm very excited to see what we get into in 2025. Yeah, I think that's it. So thank you again. And until next time, bye.